This is not just another cheap street recording. This is actual sonic mathematics. We are building this massive empire, starting from the very first heavy drum kick. Just recline your seat, relax your mind, and listen to this flawless rhythm. I am sitting directly behind this gigantic Nixon cursor in the absolute darkness, operating exactly like a highly experienced surgeon, preparing for the most complicated medical procedure. I am completely surrounded by the blinking red indicator lights and the endless miles of tangled and allo cables. The mainstream industry is constantly demanding us to manufacture the raw material as rapidly as possible. They strictly want to generate a quick financial profit and immediately transition to the next fake artificial project. But a genuine cultural masterpiece is never born in a state of panic or heavy rush. It requires an absolutely maniacal level of concentration and a 100% unwavering dedication. I can comfortably spend several consecutive weeks just to mathematically calculate the perfect acoustic snap on a single snare drum, ensuring that this deep, heavy bass line is not simply playing inside your headphones, but physically vibrating directly inside your chest cavity. The young amateur artists are constantly walking into my recording facility, desperately hoping to receive that magical golden ticket to the top of the commercial Billboard charts. But they are completely unprepared for this exhausting millisecond discipline. I ruthlessly force them to re-record the exact same vocal sentence 50 consecutive times until every single vowel and every single consonant lands perfectly on this heavy instrumental with the terrifying surgical precision. Because when this specific music finally leaves the acoustic perimeter of this isolated room and escapes onto the burning concrete streets, it is mathematically obligated to sound like an absolute indestructible monolith. Absolutely zero compromises. Absolutely zero weak links in the shame. Just a girl unadulterated, 100% offensive California funk that causes this entire massive concrete metropolis to completely freeze and listen to the broadcast. When the stabbing California baseline begins to slowly, violently shake your entire neighborhood block. We are establishing a room, independent rules, and we are dictating this undeniable heavy line. The high-fix synthesizer smoothly glides through the atmosphere, making my hydraulic jump to the sky. This is that original classics analog sound that permanently eliminates your daily stress and gets you high. When this heavy California bassline begins to slowly, violently shake your entire neighborhood. We are establishing our own independent rules, and we are dictating this undeniable heavy line. The high-pitched synthesizer smoothly glides through the atmosphere, making the hydraulics jump to the sky. This is that original classic analog sound that permanently eliminates your daily stress and gets you high. The final intricate mix is finally completed, and now it is time for the ultimate and most important street evaluation. I grab this freshly recorded analog cassette tape, step out of the suffocating studios and onto the sun-drenched parking lot, and smoothly slide into my classic vintage lowrider. I turn the heavy ignition key, roll down the dark tinted windows, and insert the magnetic tank directly into the premium dashboard stereo system. The exact millisecond that the first heavy chord strikes the speakers, the massive multi-ton machinery literally comes alive, violently vibrating per every single piece of polished chrome. I slowly roll out onto the wide, massive avenue, and this incredibly dense acoustic frequency begins to completely dominate the surrounding geographical space. The regular pedestrians are involuntarily stopping on the concrete sidewalk. prefrontal cortex has already been permanently hijacked by my invisible sonic wave. The local police cruisers are watching me pass with a heavy, suspicious glare, but they are absolutely powerless to stop this legal musical magic that is currently tunophanically generated from the burning hot asphalt, from the harsh smell of burning rubber. This is not just another cheap street recording. This is not just another cheap street recording. This is not just another cheap street recording. This is actual sonic mathematics. Yeah. This is not just another cheap street recording. This is not just another cheap street recording. This is not just a. This is not just a. This is not just a. This is not just another. I am the exact individual who drafted the architectural blueprints and physically constructed this entire city of sand with my own bare hands. I look down at this burning hot asphalt from the penthouse view, and my cerebral cortex is absolutely freezing cold. Listen to the frequency of genuine independence. I confidently step out of the dark shadows and take a massive deep breath, permanently leaving all of that toxic and chaotic garbage millions of miles behind my rear view mirror. The regular people on the street corners are constantly whispering, actively collecting the dirty rumors and placing their miserable financial bets on my immediate and catastrophic downfall. They loudly proclaim that I foolishly left millions of dollars sitting on the wooden table, that I am an absolute lunatic who decided to walk away from the most lucrative criminal enterprise on the entire West Coast. But they completely lack the intellectual capacity to understand the massive difference between a cheap temporary paper currency and a genuine immortal legacy. I am absolutely not knowing to share my sacred acoustic sanctuary with the artificial studio gangsters who actively utilize my beautiful music as a convenient camouflage for their incredibly stupid and violent neighborhood politics. I meticulously packed up my incredibly expensive analog equipment, secured my original master tapes, and silently walked out through the front door without ever dropping a single dramatic syllable. Now I am meticulously constructing my own completely independent and unstoppable empire, laying down the heavy foundation brick by heavy brick, establishing a structural base that cannot be penetrated by any flying projectile. I am currently sitting inside a brand new crystal clear recording facility, placing my hands directly on the massive mixing console and feeling this colossal creative energy violently pulsing through my veins. Once again, I am completely reinventing this class's California frequency, making this beat peep and all our bass line significantly heavier. It's tuning this hot distance size to be incredibly piercing and absolutely hypnotic. I am calculating in perfect acoustic mathematics, double forge this entire gigantic metropolis to hold its collective breath and rhythmically nod its head to my brand new heavy anthem. When this heavy and analog taste I violently race free, it completely shatters up burning concrete. We are constructing a brand new environment, and we are dictating our own unbreakable law on the street. They foolishly assume my golden era was finished when I return to violently reclaim my legitimate crown. These classic California rhythm strikes directly at the target and permanently shuts the faint competitors down. golden era was finished, but I return to violently reclaim my legitimate crown. This Plaza California for rhythm strikes directly at the target and permanently shuts the faint competitors down. I smoothly roam a freshly customized black lowrider onto the sun-drenched avenues of Los Angeles. The heavy chrome rims are blindingly reflecting the tall rain-calm trees, while the hydraulic suspension system smoothly drives the heavy shafts almost entirely to the burning hot asphalt. I blast my brand new unreleased recording at the absolute maximum volume, and its incredibly dense rhythmic frequency begins to ruthlessly slice directly through the thick Metropolitan atmosphere. I cruise directly past my old historical neighborhoods, slowly navigating through those exact same familiar intersections. Where we originally started this incredibly long marathon with completely empty pockets and massive astronomical ambitions. The local street soldiers immediately stopped their daily operations, dropping their activities to watch my classic vehicle pass with a long and heavily respectful stare. Because they instantaneously recognized this flawless and signature boss aesthetic. They mathematically understand that I never once betrayed my original pavement roots. I simply evolved my mental capacity and elevated myself to a completely unprecedented level of this complicated cascade. I am absolutely no longer a disposable foot soldier blindly rushing into a chaotic crossfire with a loaded weapon. I am a freezing cold five-star general who strategically rules the heady pieces across the global map of the music industry. I am actively discovering completely new, incredibly hungry, and phenomenally talented voices hiding inside these concrete jungles, taking that raw uncut diamond and aggressively polishing it into a multi-platinum masterpiece that will mathematically dominate the international marketplace.
Yeah. They always say that at the absolute top of the world it is way too cold and incredibly lonely. You look at these shining gold chains and the bright camera flashes, naively believing that this is the actual definition of genuine happiness. But you do not see the massive bleeding scars that are securely hidden underneath this expensive silk shirt. Just listen to my heavy confession, where my heart is still beating in this crazy rhythm. I clearly remember those severe times when we would divide in a single plate of cheap soup for 3 people, when the only source of light in our freezing cramped room was a dim street lamp shining through the window. My mother was working 3 exhausting shifts, working her hands literally to the bone, just so we could wake up the next morning and not feel that sharp dull pain inside our empty stomachs. I swore to the heavens while kneeling on the floor that one day I would absolutely pull us out of this endless suffocating poverty, that I would buy her a massive safe house where she could finally close her tired eyes and sleep without any fear. But this long journey to the top turned out to be brutally paved with broken glass and poison fake promises. I entered this deadly game genuinely thinking I could change its fundamental rules, but this ruthless industry slowly and surely started changing my own reflection. My oldest friends are now looking at me with a hungry wolf-like stare, their eyes filled to the brim with dark jealousy and unspoken malice. They smile widely, showing their white teeth when we meet, but behind my back they are already tightly gripping a loaded pistol.
This constant exhausting paranoia prevents me from sleeping for even a single second. I sleep wearing a heavy bulletproof vest, listening closely to every minor rustle outside my front door. I gave this world my entire naked soul, turned it completely inside out on every single track, and they are still patiently waiting for me to finally stumble and fall face first into the muddy pavement.
Lord, tell me, is there any peace for a soldier whose war never actually ends? When the closest people sell you genuine love for a handful of these dirty paper bills, I stubbornly continue to walk through this absolute pitch black darkness, holding nothing but a spark of hope in my hands. My soul is covered in deep wounds, but I will never allow them to see my very tears. Lord, tell me, is there any peace for a soldier whose war never actually ends? When the closest people sell you genuine love for a handful of these dirty paper bills, I stubbornly continue to walk through this absolute pitch black darkness, holding nothing but a spark of hope in my hands. My soul is covered in deep wounds, but I will never allow them to see my heavy tears.
Every single night in absolute loneliness, I drop down on my knees and tearfully beg for forgiveness for those terrible sins I had to commit simply for our physical survival. These freezy streets leave us absolutely no choice. They place heavy weaponry into our hands way before we even manage to properly learn how to read. I see these young kids on the corners, blindly copying my walk, my aggressive style. They naively think the gangster lifestyle is a beautiful Hollywood movie with a perfect cinematic ending, but I wanna scream at them with all of my might. Stop immediately before it becomes way too late. Behind all this fake street romance, there are only freezing concrete maximum security cells and endless rows of identical green tombstones. I have lost way too many loyal brothers in this meaningless war over pieces of asphalt that we never even legally owned on paper. We brutally murder each other while the actual enemies sit safely in their expensive corporate offices, calculating the massive profits from our spilled blood. My heart literally tears into tiny pieces when I see yet another mother falling to her knees in front of the yellow police tape, screaming from the unbearable agony. This pain has become my eternal companion, my heavy cross that I am obligated to carry on my shoulders until the very end of the line. And even if my physical life is violently cut short tomorrow on some dark city intersection, just know that every single word I spoke was the pure, absolutely unadulterated truth. I live for my people, and I am ready to die right now, so my poetry can permanently ignite the saving light in your exhausted mind.
Lord, tell me, is there any peace for a soldier whose war never actually ends? When the closest people sell you genuine love for a handful of these dirty paper bills.
I stubbornly continue to walk through this absolute pitch black darkness, holding nothing but a spark of hope in my hands. My soul is covered in deep wounds, but I will never allow them to see my heavy tears. Lord, tell me,
is there any peace for a soldier whose war never actually ends?
when the closest people sell you genuine love, oh, a handful of these dirty paper bills.
Yeah. You can physically lock my body inside 4 dark walls. My mind will always fly completely free. This is a dedicated message to every single brother and sister who is losing their hope right now in these dark alleyways. Yeah. Through the heavy tears, through the bitter betrayal, through all of this unbearable, agonizing pain, just listen to me
very carefully.
Yeah, I wake up in the middle of the night with the cold sweat violently running down my cheeks, and outside the window the endless police sirens are wailing once again. This is the official lullaby of our forgotten ghetto, a permanent heavy reminder that death is constantly walking somewhere nearby, breathing directly into the back of my neck. I grip my fist tightly underneath the heavy blanket because the intense paranoia is eating me completely alive from the inside out. In this brutal and unforgiving world, genuine trust is significantly more expensive than pure solid gold, and the human life is absolutely worthless. You look directly into my exhausted eyes and you ask me why I lay a heavily bloodshot, why I am carrying this incredible massive gravity upon my tired shoulders. I will give you the absolute truth, because I physically witnessed my young brothers dropping to the hot asphalt without ever getting a chance to learn the definition of true freedom. The beautiful dreams are permanently shattered by a random flying bullet. The massive universal potential is violently erased into the dust for some dirty paper on the corner block. The corrupt institutional system is intentionally trapping us inside these concrete cages, systematically depriving us of a proper education, handing us the deadly poison, impatiently waiting for us to completely destroy ourselves. But my internal spirit cannot be broken. I will scream this heavy truth until my lungs violently rupture. I will speak for every single mother who was shedding the bitter tears over the closed wooden casket of an innocent child. We are permanently stuck inside the belly of this massive beast, fighting every single day for a microscopic piece of happiness that was originally never designed for us to inherit. But I absolutely refuse to drop down to my knees. I will continue marching forward, even if this entire cursed world aggressively turns against me.
But keep your heady head on, baby, even when the black skies are dropping the pouring rain.
Even when the solid ground is crumbling and the light has permanently left the domain.
They can never successfully break the immortal soul of a genuine soul that fight in the dark.
We are searching for the gates of heaven while our feet but trapped in this hellish park.
Keep your heavy head elevated,
And even when the black sky
the drop in the pouring rain.
even when the solid ground is crumbling and the light has permanently left the domain. Step out onto the high street and pour a little bit of the strong liquor onto the ground, paying the ultimate heavy respect to my loyal brothers who were taken away by the heavens way to earn it. The heavy traumatic memories are constantly haunting my cerebral cortex, flashing inside my brain exactly like the frames of an old black and white cinematic movie where the final scene is always incredibly dramatic. People will smile genuinely directly into your face, shake your hand with the firm grip. In the exact second you turn your back, they are already sharpening the rusty blade that plunges deeply into your spine. I can physically feel this poisonous jealousy. These fake associates hiding in the shadows exactly like the venomous snakes, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to execute a deadly strike. But I was raised on these severe and unforgiving streets. My survival intuition is significantly sharper than a fresh razor blade. I see blatantly through their transparent disguise, even when they hide their eyes behind the dark tinted glasses. The hypocritical assassin desperately wants to see me wearing the orange jumpsuit behind the heavy steel bars. They're on to transform me into just another nameless prisoner because they are absolutely terrified of a young indivisible from the block who knows how to think and articulate the heavy truth. They loudly label me a dangerous menace to society, screaming it from the television screens, strictly because I am violently whipping off that beautiful mask and exposing all the disgusting rot they try so carefully to conceal. I am a direct child of this heavy agony. I was born from the cracks in the concrete, and I was baptized by the heavy pouring rain. I will stubbornly continue to fight for my people. I will write these poetic verses, transforming our collective urban agony into an eternal masterpiece. Never comfortably outlive my
physical body. Yeah. You can physically lock my body behind the heavy steel doors, so you can never successfully trap my internal soul. I am speaking directly to everybody out there who is desperately struggling just to see another sunrise through the heavy rain and the unimaginable pain.
Just listen to the prophecy.
I'm waking up in the middle of the night, covered in cold sweats, staring blankly at the spinning ceiling fan and listening to the distant police sirens wailing in the dark. That is the familiar lullaby of the neglected ghetto, a cosmic heavy reminder that the grim reaper is permanently walking right around the corner. The extreme paranoia got me constantly clutching my heavy weapon, sleeping with one eye completely open, because the trust is an incredibly rare commodity in this dangerous environment. People look into my eyes and they constantly wonder why my vision is so heavily bloodshot, why I am carrying this massive unbearable weight upon my tired shoulders. It is because I am carrying the tragic memories of 1,000 broken promises and the shattered dreams of my entire generation. I see the young beautiful brothers dying on the freezing concrete pavement before they even reach the age of 21. Their massive potential violently erased by a single piece of flying metal. The corrupt authorities are steadily pushing the deadly poison into our vulnerable communities, intentionally trying to blind us from the actual mathematical truth of our oppression. Well, my mind is a highly fortified weapon, and I am shedding the heavy tears for the single mothers who are loudly crying over the closed wooden caskets, burying the innocent babies in the freezing dirt. We are permanently trapped inside the dark belly of the beast, desperately fighting for a microscopic piece of the American dream that was never legally designed for us to inherit. But I absolutely refuse to bow down to the pressure. I will continue to spit this heavy, unfiltered truth until my vocal cords permanently bleed.
Keep your heavy head up when violent rain starts pouring down.
Even when the entire world is aggressively crumbling and attempting to hold you
To the ground.
Baby, never break the immortal spirit of a genuine soldier fighting
Through the darkest night.
We are desperately searching for the heavenly gates while trapped inside this hellish fire.
Keep your heavy head up when violent rain starts pouring down.
Even when the entire world is aggressively crumbling and attempting to hold you
To the ground.
They can never break the immortal spirit of a genuine soldier
Fighting through the darkest night.
We are desperately searching for the heavenly gates while trapped inside this hellish fire. I step out onto the hot asphalt or pour a little bit of the dark liquor onto the concrete, paying the ultimate maximum respect to my fallen soldiers who never made it to see this morning dawn. The heavy traumatic memories are constantly haunting my cerebral cortex, violently flashing like a cinematic harbor movie directly inside my mind. People will smile warmly directly in your face, shake your hand and immediately again plotting your ultimate physical downfall. The second you turn your rag, I can physically feel the haggard jealousy radiating from the fake friends, the veteran mistakes, hiding silently in the tall grass, just waiting for the absolute perfect moment to aggressively strike. But I am navigating this concrete jungle with the calculated grace of a Black Panther. My street intuition is significantly sharper than a fresh razor blade. The system desperately wants to see me locked permanently inside a maximum security penitentiary, wearing the bright orange jumpsuit and becoming just another forgotten statistical number in their massive database. But I am utilizing this wall poetry to completely elevate the consciousness of my people, magically transforming the heavy urban plain into a beautiful and immortal masterpiece. The mainstream media constantly rise to paint my portrait as a violent villain, a dangerous menace to the polite society, strictly because I'm streaking the unfiltered brutal reality that they are fundamentally terrified to address on the television screen. I am a direct product of the absolute struggle, born directly from the cracked concrete and violently baptized in the heavy boring rain. I will stubbornly continue to ride for my brothers and sisters, speaking the undeniable truth until my physical heart completely and utterly stops beating.
Keep your heavy head when the violent rain starts pouring down.
Even when the entire world is aggressively crumbling and pain, attempting to hold you to the ground. They can never break the immortal spirit of a genuine soldier,
Fighting through the darkest night.
we are desperately searching for the heavenly gates while trapped inside this hellish fire.
Keep your heavy head up. Oh, keep your heavy head up. Keep your heavy head up.
When the violent rain starts pouring down.
I roll out of the mattress. I roll out of the mattress before the sun even has a chance to violently hit the cracked pavement. I am looking through the iron bars on my bedroom window, watching the heavy sanitation trucks cleaning up the physical garbage while the political garbage remains securely sitting in the high-rise office buildings. They strategically place the liquor store on every single intersection, intentionally flooding the neighborhood with the cheap poison to keep our heavy minds completely sedated and distracted from the actual mathematical reality. I throw on the heavy black boots and step out onto the hot asphalt, refusing to become just another predictable statistical number for the private and heavily funded prison industrial complex. The patrol cars are slowly creeping down the avenue exactly like a pack of mechanical predators. The officers are heavily gripping the steering wheels and looking at us like we are the invading alien species inside our own geographical territory. But I am not intimidated by the flashing red and blue lights or the shiny metallic badges. I am a fully educated guerrilla soldier operating completely undetected in the middle of this urban war zone. We are mentally dodging the heavy invisible bullets that the corrupt educational system constantly fires at the younger generation, attempting to erase our authentic history and replace it with a fabricated corporate narrative. I am utilizing this heavy analog microphone as a dangerous weapon of mass education, dropping the complicated heavy syllables that permanently shatter the fragile glass that they manufactured to lose. We aggressively breaking the invisible chains that they placed upon the heavy mind, leaving the corrupt and broken system completely and utterly far behind. They violently trying to silence the truth, but we broadcasting the heavy sound, standing incredibly solid and refusing to surrender the sacred underground. We aggressively breaking the invisible chains that they placed upon the heavy mind, leaving the corrupt and broken system completely and utterly far behind. They violently trying to silence the truth, but we broadcasting the heavy sound, standing incredibly solid and refusing to surrender the sacred underground. I slide directly into the heavy driver's seat of the classic machinery, hitting the ignition and feeling the massive and analog engine violently shake the entire chassis. The heavy bass line starts bumping through the custom speakers. It sounds exactly like a massive marching band preparing for an inevitable physical confrontation. I am cruising past the massive corporate billboards that are aggressively selling us the things we absolutely do not need, utilizing the psychological manipulation to empty our heavily exhausted pockets. They want you to enthusiastically worship the shiny material possessions, practically begging you to trade your precious eternal soul for a temporary piece of depreciating metal. But I am fundamentally disconnected from their artificial capitalist matrix. I am actively building an independent and highly lucrative empire completely outside of their manipulative jurisdiction. I see the record label executives rolling into the neighborhood in their expensive imported vehicles, desperately trying to financially exploit the raw, heavy agony of the street and package it into a highly profitable commercial product. I aggressively look them directly in the eyes and tell them to immediately turn their vehicles around, because our heavy cultural suffering is absolutely not available for a cheap retail purchase. We claiming total and complete ownership of our intellectual and physical properties, planting our heavy boots firmly in the dirt and drawing an impenetrable line in our hot sand. We aggressively breaking the invisible chains that they placed upon the heavy mind, leaving the corrupt and broken system completely and utterly far behind. They violently trying to silence the truth, but we broadcasting the heavy sound, standing incredibly solid and refusing to surrender the sacred underground. We aggressively breaking the invisible chains that they placed upon the heavy mind, leaving the corrupt and broken system completely
and utterly far behind. They violently trying to silence the truth, but we broadcasting the heavy sound, standing incredibly solid and refusing to surrender the sacred underground. The afternoon slowly fades into a highly volatile and dangerous evening. The temperature refuses to drop, and the heavy tension in the air's sick enough to cut with a massive hunting knife. I park a classic vehicle in the middle of the crowded project courtyard, popping the heavy trunk and letting an analog rhythm completely dominate the surrounding environment. I am actively gathering the younger brothers around the heavy speaker box, violently ripping the artificial blindfolds off their eyes and showing them the actual and edited blueprints of the massive global operation.
I am looking up at the pitch black sky, and I see the mansion blinding spotlight shining directly down on the cracked pavement. The heavy police helicopter is hovering aggressively over the residential neighborhood, violently rattling the bedroom windows and waking up the entire exhausted block. They are constantly searching for a convenient scapegoat, looking for any individual wearing the heavy dark clothing just to completely justify the massive corrupt municipal budget. I am sitting perfectly still behind the steering wheel of the classic heavy machinery, watching the patrol cars aggressively speeding past my rear view mirror with the sirens absolutely screaming. You have to possess a certified degree in psychotechnics or survival just to successfully navigate a regular Thursday night in this chaotic environment. The system is meticulously designed to instantly trap you inside a heavy steel cage, turning your entire human existence into a profitable statistical number for the private prison industry. I see the local neighborhood actors pretending to be heavily involved in the dangerous street life, completely flexing their imaginary muscles until the actual heavy pressure finally arrives at their front door. The second the red and blue lights start violently flashing, they drop their heavy weapons and immediately start cooperating with the same authorities they were just loudly disrespecting. But I am physically constructed from a completely different and indestructible biological material. I keep my heavy mouth permanently shut and my constitutional rights completely memorized. I am maneuvering through the concrete jungle with the absolute precision of a decorated military veteran, refusing to become just another tragic headline printed in the morning newspaper. The heavy ghetto words fly low and shining the light on the street. The corrupt authorities are desperately trying to bring the heavy defeat, but we are successfully dodging the traps and navigating the massive maze, surviving the absolute worst conditions in the middle of the heavy haze. The heavy ghetto word is flying low and shining the light on the street. The corrupt authorities are desperately trying to bring the heavy defeat, but we are successfully dodging the traps and navigating the massive maze, surviving the absolute worst conditions in the middle of the heavy haze. I turn the heavy steering wheel and slide directly into the dark and narrow alleyway, cutting the massive engine and letting the heavy vehicle completely disappear inside the shadows. The atmosphere is incredibly tense. You can literally feel the heavy paranoia violently vibrating through the night air. I reach into the glove compartment, but I am not pulling out a physical weapon. I am pulling out the heavy intellectual knowledge and the unshakable confidence that terrifies the establishment significantly more than any loaded magazine. They are absolutely terrified of an educated individual who thoroughly understands the complicated legal architectures, refuses to blindly submit to their aggressive and unlawful intimidation tactics. I watch them harass the innocent pedestrians on the corner, violating their civil liberties and utilizing the heavy physical force just because they are wearing a metallic badge upon their chest. It makes my internal blood completely boil with the heavy concentrated anger, but I'll mathematically channel that explosive frustration directly into my heavy lyrical delivery. I'm writing these complicated syllables exactly like a heavy and festive journalist, exposing the absolute darkest and most disgusting secrets of the municipal government. They want us to remain completely ignorant, fighting each other over the invisible geographical boundaries and destroying our own heavy communities from the inside out.
But I am aggressively broadcasting a completely different frequency, waking up the sleeping masses and demanding the absolute total unification of the entire neighborhood against the actual heavy oppressor. The heavy ghetto, the heavy ghetto bird. Shining the light on the street. Look at what the authorities are desperately trying. Bring the heavy defeat. But we are successfully dodging the traps and navigating the massive maze. Surviving the absolute worst conditions in the middle of the heavy haze. The massive helicopter finally runs low on aviation fuel and aggressively pulls away, taking that blinding heavy spotlight back to the municipal airport. The flashing red and blue lights completely fade into the distance, and the heavy neighborhood slowly takes a collective sigh of absolute release.
I step out on the front porch and immediately feeling the heavy California heat hitting my face. The entire neighborhood is arranged, completely awake and buzzing with the daily chaotic energy. I walk straight down the driveway, looking at the classic Chevrolet, sitting incredibly low on the hot asphalt. I hit the heavy hydraulic switches, making the front aggressively bounce. Before I even put the key inside the ignition, the heavy engine violently roars to life, completely shattering the quiet morning atmosphere. I drop the heavy gear in the drive. I start slowly rolling down the block. The massive bass line in the trunk is physically shaking my rear view mirror and rattling the license plate. Everybody on the sidewalk is stopping and staring, trying to figure out exactly who was riding so immaculately clean on a regular Tuesday morning. I got the driver's side window completely rolled down, resting my heavy arm on the door, catching the warm breeze. I see the local street hustlers standing on the corner, trying to mathematically calculate their next financial move. I throw them a heavy respectful nod because I completely understand the brutal nature of the daily struggle. But I remain absolutely and completely focused on my own independent and highly lucrative operation. The police cruisers are rolling past my vehicle incredibly slow. The officers are staring hard through the glass, desperately hoping that I make a sudden and foolish mistake. But my paperwork is absolutely flawless and my cerebral cortex is incredibly sharp. I am navigating these highly dangerous streets exactly like a heavy military general, demanding the absolute maximum respect from the environment without ever having to raise my voice. We rolling incredibly heavy through the neighborhood, keeping the vision crystal clear. The heavy West Coast rhythm is the absolute only frequency that we actually hear. Bouncing on a hydraulic suspension, watching the entire city instantly react. We demand the absolute respect, and that is a heavy and undeniable fact. We rolling incredibly heavy through the neighborhood, keeping the vision crystal clear. The heavy West Coast rhythm is the absolute only frequency that we actually hear. Bouncing on a hydraulic suspension, watching the entire city instantly react. We demand the absolute respect, and that is a heavy and undeniable fact. I keep the heavy steering wheel steady, cruising directly past a local burger stand and smelling the heavy charcoal smoke, filling up the humid air. I smoothly pull the heavy machinery into the crowded park where the brothers are aggressively shooting the basketball and slamming the heavy dominoes onto the wooden pit and the tables. And it's a beautiful and completely raw symphony. You'll get authentic urban survival. I parked the classic vehicle directly under the heavy shade of a massive palm tree, stepping out onto the grass with the absolute unquestionable confidence of a self-made heavyweight champion. We do not need to loudly shadow violently act out to demonstrate unhackable power, because the silent physical presence speaks significantly louder than any aggressive vocabulary
ever could. We successfully survived the absolute worst, the most violent, irreparable. I'm disgustful, giving concrete jungle, constantly dodging the heavy crossfire and managing the permanent daily paranoia. Now we simply stand here and enjoy the heavy, beautiful sunshine and the wisdom in the law funk, running loudly out of the mass of customized speaking. The much younger generation is looking up at us from the sidelines. Desperately trying to perfectly mimic the heavy posture and the smooth unbothered delivery. I pulled him to the side and tell him to stay mathematically focused on the ultimate goal, telling him to successfully avoid the unnecessary architectural traps. Heaven to fed by the corrupt system, and the man individual, the solid independent financial domination. You possess the absolute mandatory requirement to stay heavy on your toes, because its specific environment will rapidly and ruthlessly swallow the weak and the completely unprepared. I am physically representing the original authentic era, the heavy golden days when the aggressive lyrical content actually meant something substantial, and the respect was never artificially purchased. We rollin' incredibly heavy through the neighborhood, keeping the vision crystal clear. The heavy West Coast rhythm is the absolute only frequency that we actually hear. Bouncing on the hydraulic suspension, watching the entire city instantly react. Woo! We demand the absolute respect, and that is a heavy and undeniable play. We rollin' incredibly heavy through the neighborhood, keeping the vision crystal clear. The heavy West Coast rhythm is the absolute only frequency that we actually hear. Bouncing on the hydraulic suspension, watching the entire city instantly react. Woo! We demand the absolute respect, and that is a heavy and undeniable fact.
Yeah. I remember walking down the freezing avenue with our heavy winter jackets completely zipped up to the chin, sharing a single pair of cheap headphones connected directly to a dusty cassette player. We were simultaneously listening to the legendary heavy boom bap instrumental, mathematically memorizing every single complicated syllable and analyzing the philosophical messages of the older generation. We did not possess the financial luxury of the comfortable existence. We were literally splitting a single slice of cheap pizza from the corner bodega because our pockets were completely and utterly empty. But the beautiful reality of the situation was that we never actually felt impoverished, because the heavy brotherhood we maintained was a massive currency that nobody could ever physically confiscate. We spent the endless summer afternoons on the cracked asphalt of the local basketball court, shooting the worn out leather ball through a rusty metal hoop that didn't even have a nylon net. We were violently throwing the heavy elbows in the paint, pushing each other to the absolute physical limit, completely dedicated to elevating our collective stamina and building an impenetrable psychological armor. When the older aggressive kids from the opposite side of the massive housing projects tried to test our daily perimeter, you never took a single cowardly step backward into the shadows. We stood completely back to back in the middle of the dangerous dirt, clenching our heavy fists and mutually deciding that if they wanted to violently strike one of us, they mathematically had to deal with the combined destruction of both. When the entire surrounding neighborhood turns freezing cold and the heavy shadows begin to fall, you are the absolute first and only reliable brother that I am ever going to intuitively call. We built this fortress out of loyalty, and the heavy undeniable mutual trust. And this permanent historical brotherhood is never gonna crumble into the microscopic dust. When the entire surrounding neighborhood turns freezing cold, and the heavy shadows begin to fall, you are the absolute first and only reliable brother that I am ever going to intuitively call. We built this impenetrable fortress out of loyalty, and the heavy undeniable mutual trust. And this permanent historical brotherhood is never gonna crumble into the microscopic dust. As we slowly transition into the complicated teenage years, the surrounding environment became significantly more treacherous and incredibly unforgiving. I watched a massive percentage of our childhood associates fall directly into the heavy gravitational pull of the criminal element, trading the brilliant potential for a temporary shiny illusion on the corner. But you were the heavy anchor that consistently kept my fragile ship from violently crashing into the destructive rocks. Whenever my internal compass was spinning out of control, and I was heavily tempted to participate in the dangerous and illegal activities, you forcefully grabbed me by the collar and aggressively reminded me of the massive promises we made to our exhausted mothers. We used to sit on the concrete stoop of the apartment building until the early hours of the morning, passing a glass bottle wrapped in a brown paper bag, passionately discussing our massive blueprints for successfully escaping this geographical trap. You were the only individual on this entire planet who never laughed at my monumental ambitions. You actively fueled the heavy combustion engine inside my chest and demanded that I pursue the impossible elevation. You patiently helped me construct my heavy lyrical vocabulary, listening to me furiously, aggressively rap over the instrumental loops, playing loudly from a massive battery-powered boombox sitting on the pavement. You were my absolute harsh critic and simultaneously my most dedicated and loyal supporter, an incredibly rare and beautiful combination that ultimately saved my life. When the entire surrounding neighborhood turns freezing cold, and the heavy shadows begin to fall, you are the absolute first and only reliable brother that I am ever going to intuitively call. We built this impenetrable fortress out of loyalty, and the heavy undeniable mutual trust. And this permanent historical brotherhood is never gonna crumble into the microscopic dust. When the entire surrounding neighborhood turns freezing cold, and the heavy shadows begin to fall, you are the absolute first and only reliable brother that I am ever going to intuitively call. We built this impenetrable fortress out of loyalty, and the heavy undeniable mutual trust. And this permanent historical brotherhood is never gonna crumble into the microscopic dust. Now I am slowly looking through a dusty shoebox filled with the fading Polaroid photographs, and I am completely overwhelmed by the phenomenal magnitude of the historical timeline we successfully conquered. We taking a heavy trip all the way back to the original foundation, before the massive commercial contracts and the digital streaming platforms. I am talking about the humid summer nights and the heavy concrete parks. Let the heavy funk break carry you away. I remember dragging the massive wooden speakers directly out to the neighborhood playground, plugging the thick electrical cords straight into the city street lamp to steal a little bit of power for the heavy amplifier. The entire community was gathering around the basketball court, escaping the suffocating heat of the brick apartments to feel the incredible vibration of the heavy bass line traveling through the soles of their worn out sneakers. The disc jockey was acting like a magnificent street magician, operating two heavy analog turntables with the absolute precision of a surgical doctor, spinning the classic funk records backward to permanently catch the perfect heavy drum break. We did not possess any sophisticated digital technology or expensive promotional budgets. We were simply utilizing the raw atmospheric energy of the block to create an undeniable cultural a revolution right there on the cracked pavement. I see the young acrobatic dancers completely taking over the center of the circle, spinning rapidly on a flattened cardboard box, aggressively defying the heavy laws of physical gravity while the crowd is screaming in absolute pure astonishment. The rhythm scratching of the vinyl was the only heavy currency that we genuinely recognized, an incredibly powerful sonic transmission that temporarily erased all the severe economic struggles and the heavy gang violence surrounding our immediate perimeter. The microphone had a long tangled cord, and you had to physically snatch it from the previous speaker to mathematically demonstrate your superior lyrical capacity. Riding the heavy funk instrumentation with a bouncy and unstoppable verbal delivery. We were establishing the permanent constitutional laws of this massive global culture, utilizing the cheap microphone and the stolen electrical current to broadcast our heavy, magnificent voices directly to the universe. We taking it back to the original concrete block and the heavy analog sound, where the pioneers originally laid the solid foundation deep under the ground. Listen to the vintage breakbeat and the incredible rhythm of the street. This is the authentic heavy culture that the modern industry can never defeat. We taking it back to the original concrete block and the heavy analog sound, where the pioneers originally laid the solid foundation deep under the ground. Listen to the vintage breakbeat and the incredible rhythm of the street. This is the authentic heavy culture that the modern industry can never defeat. The local graffiti writers were standing silently in the heavy shadows of the park, carrying the rattling metallic spray cans inside the heavy backpacks, waiting for the perfect midnight opportunity to permanently decorate the passing transit trains. It was a massive, beautiful symphony of absolute urban rebellion, a completely unfiltered artistic expression originating from the deepest and darkest forgotten corners of the massive metropolis. The verbal rhyme schemes were relatively simple but incredibly effective, designed specifically to move the massive crowd and keep the heavy positive energy flowing continuously through the humid summer atmosphere. We were passing the heavy microphone from left to right, creating a continuous chain of uninterrupted verbal electricity, throwing the heavy syllable back and forth like a beautiful game of rhythmic ping pong. There were absolutely zero luxury sports cars parked around the perimeter. Nobody was wearing the ridiculous diamond chains or boasting about their massive imaginary banking accounts. The absolute maximum level of respect was strictly granted to the individual who could manipulate the English vocabulary with the greatest amount of original style and undeniable heavy charisma. You had to practically project your voice from the bottom of your heavy diaphragm, cutting directly through the loud distortion of the massive blown out speakers, just to make sure the people in the back of the park could clearly understand your heavy philosophical message. It was the purest and most unadulterated era of the heavy musical expression, a specific moment in chronological time when the passion completely overpowered the desperate desire for the heavy financial compensation. We taking it back to the original concrete block and the heavy analog sound, where the pioneers originally laid the solid foundation deep under the ground. Listen to the vintage breakbeat and the incredible rhythm of the street. This is the authentic heavy culture that the modern industry can never defeat. We taking it back to the original concrete block and the heavy analog sound, where the pioneers originally laid the solid foundation deep under the ground.
Let's talk about real ownership. Not the cars, not the heavy chains, the actual blueprints, the intellectual property, the thing they try to steal when you are not looking. Listen closely to the legal documents. I walk directly into the executive boardroom with a heavy stack of legal papers, completely prepared to defend my original creations from the corporate vultures. They're looking at my detailed blueprints, trying to figure out a hidden loophole, desperately attempting to steal the architectural design without paying the proper financial compensation. But I already secured the heavy patents. I successfully copyrighted every single syllable and every single heavy drum kick before I even stepped foot inside the building. You see these young naive artists signing away their entire legacy on a piece of paper, giving up their intellectual property for a temporary shiny chain and the least luxury vehicle. But I am operating strictly like a heavy legal scholar, navigating the complicated judicial system, making sure my original ideas remain exclusive comfortably inside my personal possession. They try to take me to the highest court, bringing in the expensive lawyers wearing the tailored suits, trying to invalidate my ownership and claim my heavy rhythm as their own invention. But my foundation is legally bulletproof. Every single sentence I write is a binding contract, signed and sealed with the heavy ink of experience. I am building a permanent, independent empire, and the most valuable asset inside the entire vault is the raw intellectual property that my brain successfully generated. Protect the blueprints and secure the heavy pack. Never let them steal the original magic that you are backing. We own the masters and we control the heavy distribution, executing the flawless intellectual revolution. Protect the blueprints and secure the heavy pack. Never let them steal the original magic that you are rapping. We own the masters. I see the industry operating exactly like a massive criminal syndicate, constantly searching for a vulnerable creative mind to legally exploit. They wanna strip you of your fundamental rights, taking a heavy percentage while you do the actual physical and mental labor inside the vocal booth. But I heavily study the legislation. I clearly understand the complicated paragraphs and the hidden clauses hiding at the very bottom of the page. You cannot physically steal a brilliant idea when the copyright is heavily registered and defended by the penetrable wall of absolute legal certainty. I can stamp in my permanent trademark directly on the culture, ensuring that my future generations will continually collect the heavy financial dividends from the seeds that I am planting today. They want to pirate the unique frequency, duplicating a heavy bass line and selling it as a cheap counterfeit product in the mainstream market. But the offense and the original signature cannot be forged by a regular machine. It possesses a specific hue and frequency that the legal documents actively protect from the thieves. I can write in my own heavy thesis directly on the concrete pavement, proving that the true ultimate power belongs to the original creator, who stubbornly refuses to surrender his intellectual territory. You gotta treat your mind exactly like a highly classified governmental facility, heavily guarding the magnificent ideas before they are officially ready to be released into the public atmosphere. Protect the blueprint and secure the heavy cap. Never let them steal the original magic that you are packed. We own the masters and we control the heavy distribution, executing the flawless intellectual revolution. The absolute prototype in the modern history is not a heavy bank robbery with the physical weapons. It is the silent theft of the intellectual property taking place right inside the corner offices. They extract your pure uncut genius, slap a different corporate logo on the packaging, and leave you completely empty-handed, standing in the freezing cold. But I am fundamentally shifting the entire paradigm, establishing the heavy legal precedents that will permanently alter the landscape of this entire business. I am the sole proprietor with my heavy artistic destiny, the undisputed owner of the architectural blueprints that are permanently reshaping the skyline of the city. We are fighting the heavy battles in the courtroom of life, bringing the undeniable evidence and striking the heavy gavel directly on the one in death.
Yeah. It say money. Yeah. They say money makes the world revolve on its axis, but I see it making everybody completely dizzy. We're chasing these rectangular pieces of printed paper, trading our precious time for a temporary physical illusion. Listen to the mathematics. I wake up early in the morning before the sun is even shining, observing the entire city running in a desperate mirror. You down and them everybody is violently chasing the currency, sweating and bleeding just to accumulate a little bit of extra paper in the vault. They look at the television and they see the luxurious vehicles, the heavy golden chains and the massive mansions sitting on the hill. The television is actively broadcasting a hypnotic frequency, convincing the younger generation that their entire human value is strictly determined by the balance in that checking account. I see the brothers turning completely cold, betraying their closest childhood friends over a minor financial disagreement. The psychology of the dollar bill is a highly dangerous chemical substance that enters your bloodstream and completely rewrites your fundamental DNA. You start looking at everybody like a potential business transaction, constantly calculating the profit margins instead of recognizing the actual human soul. I remember when we used to be completely broke, but our spirits were incredibly wealthy, sharing the last piece of bread and laughing in the middle of the heavy pouring rain. Now the pockets are getting significantly heavier, but the genuine smiles are becoming incredibly rare to locate in this concrete jungle. The paper is slowly burning a massive hole directly through the fabric of our society, and everybody is blindly ignoring the heavy smoke filling up the room. The currency is constantly circulating, but the stove is going bankrupt. We trading our eternal freedom for a temporary physical product. Look at the heavy paranoia hiding behind the expensive design, the shades. The money is a sharp illusion that slowly and inevitably fades. The currency is constantly circulating, but the slow is going bankrupt. We're trading our eternal freedom for a temporary physical product. Look at the heavy paranoia hiding behind an expensive design, the shades. The money is a sharp illusion that slowly and inevitably fades. I step into the financial district, watching the corporate executives in the tailored suits playing the massive game of Monopoly with actual human lives. They manipulate the numbers on the digital screens, artificially inflating the markets while the regular people are struggling to simply purchase their basic groceries. The concept of money is nothing but a collective hallucination, a heavy shackle is a cultural agreement that we all decided to blindly accept without asking any logical questions. You can accumulate a massive mountain of physical wealth, stack the hundreds until they physically reach the ceiling of your penthouse or apartment, but you cannot purchase a single additional second of time. When the final clock begins to blindly tick, I am investing my personal energy into the permanent knowledge, accumulating the intellectual property that nobody can ever confiscate or steal from my possession. But true wealth is the absolute freedom of the mind, the capacity to walk through this chaotic environment without being controlled by the heavy gravitational pull of the Dow. I see the people wearing the most expensive garments in the world, driving the most explosives, importing machinery, but their internal existence is completely hollow and devoid of any genuine substance. We are a prisoner to their own extravagant lifestyle, constantly terrified that somebody is going to successfully blot against them and take away their shiny physical possessions. The currency is constantly circulating, but the soul's going bankrupt. We're trading our eternal freedom for a temporary physical product. Look at the heavy paranoia hiding behind the expensive designer shade. The money is a sharp illusion, yeah, slowly and inevitably fades. So keep your vision perfectly focused on the actual permanent reality, and never allow the green paper to successfully blind your original perspective. We definitely require the finances to smoothly navigate through this modern capitalist architecture. But you must aggressively refuse to let the finances become your ultimate master. I am carefully stacking the heavy vocabulary, depositing the syllables directly into the instrumental bank account, generating a massive cultural dividend that will continue to pay out long after I am permanently gone.